In this video, you will learn how to use a tensiometer and adjust a turnbuckle to ensure proper cable tension for your flight controls. Here in front of us is a tensiometer kit that consists of a cable gauge, conversion chart, riser blocks, and the tensiometer. When working with any tool that needs to be calibrated, check to make sure the tool's calibration expiration date has not passed. You can see here the tensiometer is well past its expiration and is due for calibration, but we are going to use it anyway as this is just a skill demonstration. The next thing we need to do is find what the limits of our cable are. You can find this in the maintenance manual. For example, a Cessna 152's aileron flight control cables will need to be at 40 pounds plus or minus 10 pounds for the average temperature in your area. However, for this video, we are just going to be using the temperature as the video is made, which is 40 degrees. Next, we need to use our cable gauge and get our cable diameter. You can see that all the markings here are in fractions of an inch. So we can slide it on here. You can see our cable gauge stops right at 1/8 of an inch. Now, instead of you watching me fumble around trying to use this chart one-handed, we're just going to show a diagram up here. So we can follow the temperature line from 40 degrees all the way up. And then we can follow our 1/8 inch cable gauge or curve all the way down to that 40. And draw a line all the way over right in between 60 and 40, meaning our cable tension needs to be 50 pounds. Unfortunately, it does not stop there because our cable tensiometer does not read in pounds. So first step we need to do is figure out which riser block we need to use. You can see these are the riser blocks here. There's one already on it, and this is what is calibrated per what your diameter of cable is. So we can see we had a 1/8 inch cable, which uses a number 1 riser block, which lucky for me was already on there, but they just switch out if you need to change them. So our cable tension is 50 pounds. We can go right across here and see that we need to read 27 on the tensiometer. When measuring your cable tension, you want to do it away from turnbuckles, bell cranks, or pulleys because it can create an artificially high cable tension. Now you can weave that cable on your tensiometer just like so and close that power lever to get your reading. And as you can see, that was way too tight, so we got to loosen it. Now, as I was getting this safety wire off, I got a visit from Robert to raise my motivation for this project. I can always recommend having a Robert around to raise motivation for projects like this. It is extremely helpful. Thank you, Robert. Now, with all that safety wire off, you're going to need some kind of tool to fit inside that turnbuckle and either loosen or tighten it depending on what you need for yours. I used a pick here. At first I had this handle on it, but it ended up being too cumbersome, so I took it off and was able to loosen it. And now we can put our tensiometer back on there and close that lever. And we can see that it's reading right there at like 28, which is well within specs if we were using that Cessna 152 guide. We can turn that lever there and undo that in order to keep it where it's at. Unfortunately, I bumped the riser block so it went up a bit, but normally it will stay in place. Lastly, you're going to want to check the maintenance manual to figure out what safety wire procedure to use. Generally, single wrap is acceptable. However, double wrap is always preferred.